In Southeast Asia, people spend over 3.66 billion on bubble tea every year. It's a massive market, but highly saturated. In a small country like Singapore with only a population of 5.9 million people, how many bubble tea brands do you think there are? 20? 30? Well, in Singapore alone, there are over 61 bubble tea brands. Yes, the competition is intense, and many new tea brands that appear seem to struggle to survive or fail to capture a big market share. But yet, a completely new tea brand found a way to conquer market share in Singapore within just 4 years, being able to sell hundreds of cups within a single day. Who knows, they might be even selling more cups than Starbucks. How did an unknown tea brand called Chagee find a way to win people's trust within just 4 years? Because back in August 2020, one of the top favorite tea giants in Singapore was Koi. It seemed impossible to compete with such a giant. Many new tea brands failed to rise above the competition. But how did Chagee find a way to win? What did they do differently that other new tea brands failed to do? What was their marketing strategy that they used to attract a massive crowd for their grand opening? There are many lessons that you can draw from this case study, especially if you're a small business owner or if you're a solo entrepreneur. We're going to be talking about all that in this video. Back in 2019, the bubble tea market in Singapore was primarily dominated by Koi, Liho, and Gongcha. Around the entire Singapore, Koi had 53 outlets, Liho had 66, and Gongcha had 25 outlets. Soon, new tea brands started to appear. Brands such as Milksha, Singfu Tang, IT, ATTI, Tea Brewery, and so many more. But within 3 to 4 years, some of these newly opened tea brands ended up closing down. Milksha launched in June 2019 and closed down in December 2023. Singfu Tang launched in May 2019, closed down in January 2023. Tea Brewery launched in September 2019 and closed down in December 2023. There's no doubt that the competition is intense, and it won't be easy to win against the existing tea giants. Many new bubble tea brands pop up but quickly disappear, just when you think that the market is extremely overcrowded. Here comes another new tea shop that seemed to be just like another bubble tea brand. So Chagee opened its first Singapore store in August 2020. By the way, if you're liking this video so far, be sure to hit the subscribe button as we move on to talk about who exactly is Chagee. At first glance, people may see them as a bubble tea shop, but they position themselves differently. They position themselves as a premium tea brand that focuses on making high quality tea that is healthier. On their website, it states that they use zero artificial flavoring tea base, zero artificial sweeteners, and zero trans fats. This is why you can't add any typical pearls, jelly, or any other toppings when you order a drink. So who exactly started Chagee? Well, it was founded by Zhang Zunjue. It is said that he worked at a bubble tea store at the age of 17. He was extremely hardworking and rose from an entry-level employee to a store manager to a regional managing director within just 3 years. He then joined a Shanghai-based startup and eventually started Chagee in Yunnan, China in 2017. It's truly amazing to see how Chagee was able to quickly rise since 2017 amongst the sea of competition in Singapore. I've observed their growth in Singapore through the years since they opened their first outlet here in August 2020. From looking like just another tea brand to being able to sell hundreds of cups within a single day. I want to share with you 7 key strategies that they did to capture market share in Singapore. I may not cover their entire playbook, but here are the top 7 strategies that I've observed. So the first strategy is that they focused on a unique positioning that's in sync with the current market trend. What does that mean? Well, over the years, people are more and more health conscious. In general, people want to eat healthier, consume less sugar, so they focused on using that as their positioning. Creating drinks that are healthier, they are free from artificial sweeteners, and drinks that have a lower amount of calories since you can't add any additional toppings to them. So people won't experience a feeling of regret after drinking a big cup of tea. Next, their second strategy is simplifying their brand name. Yes, in the past you'll notice that the English text of their name on all their shop fronts are Bawang Chagee, but over the years they have changed it to become just Chagee. Some people may call it Chagee. Well, but the point is that they simplified it to just 2 syllables, making it easier to pronounce, making it easier to remember. Instead of sticking with a longer name, they adapted their naming approach. They knew that if your brand was more memorable, more easier to pronounce, the more sticky it will be in people's minds. Their third strategy is creating a unique visual identity. You can see this through their retail shop design as well as their cup design. They use certain colors and certain designs consistently. Instead of making their cups transparent, they deliberately create a design that's unique to their brand. When people hold this cup in their hands as they walk around and drink, other people will start to notice and start to be curious about what they are drinking. Over the years, they have adapted and improved their cup design drastically. Their new cup design is much more modern, has an artistic touch, and is much more visually attractive. Has a youthful appeal, and it's definitely a lot more eye-catching.
And as more and more people drink Chagee, you're going to notice this cup in a lot of people's hands as they walk around the shopping mall.
You won't be able to stop yourself from wondering, why is everyone drinking that? Next, their fourth strategy is organizing special events consistently. Instead of just selling drinks normally, Chagee creates interesting special events monthly. One of their one-day event every month is called Tear and Win. During this day, you just need to order a large-sized drink, and at the bottom of the cup, there will be a small square area for you to tear and open, which contains a card, and it states what is the prize that you win. They include prizes such as a 1-for-1 voucher, a discount vouchers, mini toy figurines, or even a YSL lipstick or a perfume bottle from a luxury brand. Their event pulls in a large crowd, and I remember going to a Chagee branch in Johor Bahru, Malaysia, and I was standing in front of the shop and it was so crowded, and the waiting time for your drink was 5 hours. Absolutely crazy. So innovative events can certainly attract a lot of people, but only if you nail this next strategy. In fact, people will have zero motivation to buy your product if you don't get this next strategy right. Now this brings me to the next strategy, the fifth strategy, which is making it taste great consistently. You see, sometimes businesses can get lost in focusing on sales and promotions, so much so that they forget about one key business fundamental, that is making sure that you make a great product. Creating and selling products that are of high quality and that it delivers a promise. Screw this up and you'll notice that customers will only buy once and never ever return again. But get this right, and everything else that you do will create a strong growth momentum for your business. When you drink a cup of Chagee, you can really taste that difference. There's that distinct tea taste, unlike some other tea brands. And most importantly, they seem to be able to duplicate this consistently, even when you go to their different outlets or even to try Chagee in another country like Malaysia. Even when it comes to milk tea, others may seem sometimes a bit too diluted or too milky, but they are able to create this balanced taste. So when expectations are at this level but your product is way above it, then you know that you're on the right track. Next, their sixth strategy is creating excitement for their relaunch. Right at the start of January 2024, just about 3.5 years after they opened their first outlet here in Singapore, it seemed like Chagee was closing its business for good. Many fans were shocked to hear about the news of their sudden closure. Overnight, all 12 Chagee outlets in Singapore were rebranded and called M's Tea. This all happened because things could not work out between Chagee and the local franchisees in Singapore. The CEO of Chagee Singapore, Lawrence Wen, said that it was a strategic decision and declined to elaborate further about why things didn't work out. At that point, it really seemed like Chagee was gone for good, and it would be a massive challenge to restart in Singapore once again. But they continued to march forward. On May 23rd, 2024, just about 5 months after their closure, Chagee announced on social media that they would be returning to Singapore once again in August. They began to tease about their upcoming first outlet on social media, and they also creatively used their renovation partition walls for marketing purposes. Typically, renovation partition walls would only just contain a logo or a coming soon label, but They leveraged this war to get people to answer a simple crossword puzzle to win a free drink voucher, fully making use of their renovation period for marketing and new customer acquisition. Next, they organized a special pop-up event between 24th to 30th of June, around 4 to 5 weeks before their official opening. And this event allowed them to remind people of their official opening date, as well as to clearly communicate about why their tea is different from any other tea in the market. During this event, they got people involved to play a game in order to win a free drink voucher. By now, you can imagine that they have a long waiting list of people who want to redeem this free drink voucher as soon as they open. But they didn't stop there. Just about a couple of weeks before their grand opening, they sold drink vouchers on external shopping platforms. Large milk tea cups that are usually $5.90 were just $1. On their grand opening day, all their efforts were paid off, and there was a huge crowd for their first outlet. During their grand opening weekend, they combined multiple promotions such as their iconic 10 Win Cup promotion and a milk tea bundle deal. You can imagine how crazy the crowd was and how many hours that people probably had to wait for their drinks to get ready. Now this brings me to their last strategy, their 7th strategy, which is something that enables some of their other strategies mentioned earlier to work like magic. So what did they do? They created their own mobile app. Despite being just a drink store, they leverage on new technology. Their mobile app allows them to create a referral system as well as to use it as a customer loyalty program, using technology to fuel word of mouth and get repeat sales. From this interesting case study, you can see that despite all the obstacles and market competition, Chagee found a way to adapt to changes and found a way to conquer market share in Singapore within 4 years. And I remember that even though it was 6 months after their grand opening, you could still see them selling hundreds of cups during certain hours of the day. The hype could have easily already fizzled out by then, but yet there was still demand. As a small business owner or solo entrepreneur, we can be quick to blame the market or the competition. I too am guilty of that. Instead, try to look at things through a different lens. High competition is great. It means that there is market demand. Your execution will be the factor that makes things work. Chagee could have easily failed in Singapore, but they were able to be quick to adjust and adapt to changes, changing their cup designs, simplifying their brand name while making sure that they maintain drink quality consistency. With a combination of different strategies, they were able to draw in both new and returning customers. Will Chagee be able to continue their success through the years to come? We'll just have to see. For now, I'm going off to have a cup of Chagee. Tea is just the one drink that I can't live without. It's the one drink that I can't live without to start my day every morning. What about you? What is your favorite bubble tea brand? Leave a comment below about what you normally drink. If you like this video and found it valuable, be sure to hit the subscribe button because we'll be creating more insightful videos like this. See you soon in a future video. Bye bye.